There we go. There we go. We're online. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Coffee and Hatred. I'm Grizzly Rising, and this is, and my co-host is Wolf.
What's going on?
So everybody wake the fuck up and watch my stream. Oh, there we go. The son of a bitch, the chat's actually working in OBS. Miracle of miracles.
Morning, fat man.
Yeah, morning, fat man. How you doing? Well, I didn't have coffee and quiet this morning because I was getting ready for the stream, so needless to say, I'm a little groggy and cranky. But as my loyal, 3 viewers can see, this morning we're talking about a issue in Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy genres. Because apparently it's bad enough that the social justice warriors, cucks, mangina, simps, lefty scum have brought brought race and to every aspect of society. Now they're taking it one step further and they're going into the realm of role-playing games and fantasy genres like Lord of the Rings. So without further ado, let's get started with the shit show of an article. Switch over to OBS here. And this article was written by Christian Hoffer, dated April 27th, 2020. And so let's get a look at this fucking dirtbag. Alright, there we go. That. Nope, not him. There's a picture of the author. Now, can anybody tell me right off the bat, what this guy strikes you as being? Bueller?
A lot of soy.
Oh yeah, he's just chock full of soy. So that's our wonderful, lovely author of this article. So let's start reading. A 2016 passage from a Dungeons and Dragons rulebook has fans once again talking about a long-standing problem with how orcs are depicted in the tabletop game with other pieces of fantasy lore. Earlier today, the term orc started trending on Twitter in the United States, as D&D and fantasy fans debated the issues surrounding the classic fantasy creature. The conversation started when Quinn Welsh Wilson, and let's get a picture of this fucking loser. You see what he looks like. This is what Quinn Welsh Wilson looks like. Anybody got any ideas?
Even more soy.
Oh yeah, and his last name is Quinn Welsh Wilson, so he hyphenated his name to his wife. Really? Are you fucking serious? That's what it sounds like, Quinn Welsh Wilson. I mean, he took his wife's last name.
That or his mom was a single mother that hyphenated her name.
Oh, okay, but still, I mean, come on. And this guy's wife's probably getting pounded out by her boyfriend, and he gets to eat the droppings up when she's done with her boyfriend. So yeah, these are the two fucking geniuses that are behind this bullshit. All right, let's do that and bag it off. There we go. All right, good. The slideshow worked. Excelente. So, continuing on with this article, the conversation started when Quinn Welsh Wilson, goddamn what a gaffe, criticized a passage found in Volo's Guide to Monsters that noted that orcs could only develop a limited capacity for empathy, love, and compassion. Wilson prefaced their post with a casual racism trigger warning, which set off a heated debate over how orcs and other fantasy races are depicted in modern fantasy tales. Goddamn pig fucking motorcycle rider. So yeah, he actually put a trigger warning in for racism. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious? I mean, are people that goddamn sensitive that they have to put a trigger warning in when discussing a fantasy genre like Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, World of Warcraft, Warhammer, or whatever? I mean, are we that much of a pussified society? Yeah, have we gotten that pussified? Are we that much of a fucking wimpy, pathetic cucked society now? You gotta be shitting me.
Looking that way, man.
Huh?
It sure is looking that way.
A fucking racism trigger warning. Gee. We're fucked, man. We might as well just start fucking sucking China's dick right now and just fucking get it over with. I mean, this is the shit that is prevalent for so many people. So, continuing. This week's discourse surrounding orcs isn't exactly a new conversation, but it's always one that's worth discussing.
No, it's not!
There are two distinctive problematic elements of orcs, one that dates back to their origin in J.R.R. Tolkien's work, and one that reflects the wider issues surrounding race and ancestral origins in Dungeons and Dragons and similar fantasy games. It's a fucking game! Jesus Christ! It's a goddamn game!
Yeah, but they're always searching for things like this, and the orcs in Dungeons and Dragons are based off of the orcs in J.R. Tolkien's books from The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
But it's a fucking game.
And and they're, if anyone who knows the lore is here, you guys understand that orcs were actually originally elves that were twisted by one of the Dark Lords, and that's how they were created. They were never meant to be or represent anything else. So they're basically beings that were twisted by evil.
Yeah, but to get further down to the weeds, it's different for each genre. Like, for example, Dungeons and Dragons, they generally portray them as, being evil, lacking empathy, compassion, love, being very strong and warlike, but not very smart. And World of Warcraft, for example, has another way of portraying orcs, and the World of Warcraft method's a little more nuanced and explanatory than Lord of the Rings or Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's a bit more sympathetic, I believe, in that lore.
Yeah, it's a little more nuanced. But but yeah, this is ancestral orc. Okay. So here we go. While orcs have their roots in goblins and other fairy tale creatures, the modern concept of orcs in tabletop games, and you beat me to the punch on this. The concept of orc in tabletop games largely originates from Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. As depicted in Lord of the Rings, orcs are inherently evil humanoid creatures, and Tolkien described them as degraded and repulsive versions of the Europeans. Okay. Alright, that is correct. Wow. Okay, so to European least lovely Mongol types. Coupled with the fact that Tolkien depicted entire cultures as being representatives of good or evil, many view reflection of orcs as the others, a philosophical concept used to paint entire cultures as being somewhat inferior or evil because they were different. It's once again, it's a fantasy genre. Lord of the Rings is a fantasy genre. They're trying to take art and creativity in games and draw parallels to real life with them. You gotta be shit. I know this already. Well, you're not shitting because I already know this. This is fucked up. It's really fucked up. Now come the fucking chat box isn't working.
Yeah, I mean,
there we go.
It originated out of stuff written hundreds of years ago, and Tolkien in particular, he got it off of Viking lore and all kinds of European, German lore and monsters and such, and he basically brought that into his own entirely created world. He created multiple languages, in fact, complete languages for this world that he created. It's really interesting, but nowhere does it say like these are meant to be black people or inferior cultures. It's actually pretty well explained where these monsters and creatures come from.
Well, and see, he wrote The Hobbit. You know, the book The Hobbit, or the series The Book The Hobbit, or whatever it is. He wrote that based off of his experiences as serving as a soldier in the trenches of World War I.
Well, the Hobbit was actually something he wrote for his children. The Lord of the Rings is more based off of of what you're talking about.
He did base a lot of his experiences, and if you really wanted to split the hairs, he was probably portraying orcs as being German soldiers who were just as white as he was. So how is there any racism? But these people take it to a whole new level of stupid.
Yeah, it's absurd.
And now, let's continue.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Now, Tolkien noted in other letters that orcs are not meant to be representative of a particular culture or people, and that orcs could be found on both sides of any conflict, along with genuinely good people. Okay, so right there, he just comes out in his letters and say, yeah, I didn't represent this to be a particular race of people, so on and so forth. He was just like, right out the gate, he's even saying this is not about race, but what do these fucking nerds do? They make it about race to support their own twisted agenda.
Yep.
However, his depiction of orc culture as a monolithic society of evil, human-like creatures became a standard element in epic fantasy. Over time, various artists and authors used elements of various real-world, non-European cultures. There's an orc burp. When depicting orcs in books and other media, thus solidifying the idea that orcs were a reflection of non-European races, which is incredibly problematic. No, it's not, you fucking idiot. It's a fucking game. Christ. I mean, let's just let the cat out of the bag right now. Let's just let the cat out of the bag right now. What these fucking assholes, these SJWs, these soy cucks, are doing is they're making the analogy that orcs are similar to black people. And you gotta ask yourself the question, the real question, who are the real racists here? Is it the people in Dungeons and Dragons that have portrayed orcs as being evil, lacking empathy, being strong, stupid, savage brutes? Or is it the actual people that are pushing the shit that are the ones that are guilty of being racist?
I mean, they're the ones thinking about it that way.
Right. I mean, they're the ones that are making the racial undertones. And for full disclosure, I used to be a Dungeons and Dragons tabletop RPG nerd back in the day. So we didn't look at orcs as like being like black people. We just looked at, you're playing your character, you're doing whatever. We just looked at them that they were a foil, like demons, dragons, whatever other mythical monsters they put in the game. They were a foil for the module or whatever in the role playing game or the dungeon or scenario they threw you into. It wasn't. As a 13-year-old kid, I wasn't thinking, oh, they're talking about black people. No. Well, let me address Fat Man's comment here. Okay, I thought Tolkien wrote books to create a mythology because everyone stole England's mythology. Not exactly. He actually wrote the books because England didn't have any of their own mythology at the time, so Tolkien decided to create his own mythology.
Yeah, he was fascinated with European mythology from all kinds of different European countries, and particularly, again, Northern Europe, German, and others.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that, just so we can keep everybody on the same page. Okay, his depiction of real world depicting. All right, here we continuing. While the above couple of paragraphs only summarizes why many people take issue with the depiction of orcs, many people don't take issue with the depiction of orcs. Only you fucking cuts do. A depiction of orcs in general. It also touches on why many dislike how Dungeons and Dragons, once again, just you fucking morons, not many people. You know what many people do?
They play the fucking game!
And other fantasy tabletop games deal with race in general. Dungeons & Dragons and many other fantasy games tend to describe races as monolithic entities that all share the same physical characteristics and cultural beliefs. You know why they do that?
Because it's a fucking game!
That share the physical and cultural beliefs. Okay, this is reflected both in the racial attribute score bonuses that each race gets in D&D, as well as how they are described in passages like the one criticized by Welsh Wilson, who's a
giant fucking gaff.
Let me put his lovely face back up on there so everybody can see. Look at this guy. I mean, really? This is a fucking soy boy. You know, and he has a perfectly punchable face too. I just wanted to throw it out there, but this is what this fucking dude is fucking, you know, pushing. This is his mentality. I mean, yeah, obviously just look at the guy. You know he's never been punched in the face. You know he's never been bullied. And he's never had any like real struggles with life. So in order for him to give his mind something to struggle against, he creates a bugaboo like this. Get his fucking face off there. I'm gonna reach through the fucking computer and punch him. Alright.
Yeah, he needs to be bullied.
You know, and yeah, and I'm just gonna, you know, thank you for bringing that up, Wolf, because, you know, I have to say, at the ripe old age of 50, I haven't been able to look back on life and see stuff, and unfortunately, sometimes, well, most of the time anyway, you don't get this perspective until you've grown older. But you know what? Bullies are a necessary evil. Let me repeat.
Bullies are a necessary evil.
We need bullies. We need people to fight against. We need something to rally against. We need to be tested and see how well we overcome that test and how we deal with it. And so, as much as I hate bullies and I can't stand them, they are a needed thing. They're that needed friction, that needed resistance to give us strength and make us stronger as people. I know that sounds like a fucking crazy thing to say, but it's true. I'm sorry, that's just what I believe. Anybody's welcome to dispute me on that.
Yeah, and what's funny is what you also just described is kind of the role that the orcs play in, you know, Lord of the Rings and other fantasy series.
Yeah, I mean, they're a foil. They get, it's like, what kind of book trilogy would the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit be without a foil? You know, I mean, Rohan, you know, was not being invaded by Uruk-hai and orcs. You know, what happens, you know, how wonderful and interesting of a book would that be? I mean, would that book be interesting at all? No, it'd be like something you would read if you had a hard time getting to sleep. And Tannhauser, of course, says, "I bully the Californians in my town."
Yeah.
You know what? Keep raising the standards, bud.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, they needed a foil. I mean, what were they going to use? You know, little fluffy bunnies as the enemy? Get the fuck out of here. Do these people ever have this? Have these assholes ever taken a writing class or anything that's involved with creativity and creating a story? They ask the questions, they answer it.
Right.
Alright, so here we go. Let's continue. Many people see games like Dungeons & Dragons as codifying and normalizing the use of racial stereotypes. Jesus fucking Christ. Which lead to both racist situations in the gaming table and encourages racist attitudes getting adopted by some players. Ugh, for fuck's sake. Just fuck. You know what? And I got a story. He wasn't as bad as these fucking cucks were, but he's bad enough. I did a tabletop role-playing group for about 6 years, from 2006 to 2012, and one of the guys that was part of the group was like this skinny, lanky, lefty SJW type. And he would get pissed off, and he just wouldn't get pissed off. He would fly off the fucking handle every time I made a racial or sexist joke or whatever, just, you know, shooting the shit, bullshitting around, right? I wasn't really me. I was just talking shit. That's what guys do. And this guy would like fucking flip out all the time. He'd get so fucking pissed off about it. And it was just, it was just crazy. One time we're sitting there, we're watching the movie King Kong. And, the modern day movie, I think it was like, where they found King Kong was somewhere in the like Pacific, and the tribesmen were characterized as Pacific Islanders. And I made the joke because they were literally carrying spears and throwing them. I made the joke that they were spear chuckers, and he got all bent out of shape. Do I hate black people? No, I hate everyone equally. But he got fucking lit the fuck up over that shit. And he would just go off on these tangents, and he was just like this weirdo. He collected vinyl records, not because he wanted to listen to the music, but because he liked the record covers. And he had like those weirdo fucking soy cuck hobbies. And turns out after we all stopped playing together, it turns out that he was bisexual, so he was only half a gaff. But this guy would just get flipped out at this shit. And for my part, hey, I deliberately egged him on because I did like getting him triggered because he was such a little fucking weasel. So let's continue with this. This article's almost over. Then there's a video I want to share that just emphasizes how women are depicted in the media versus men. So let's continue with this article, then we'll get to that. For instance, a player using the Orc race found in Volo's Guide to Monsters means that they take a -1 penalty to their intelligence score, which means that the smartest level 1 Orc will always be less intelligent than the smartest level 1 human. When translated to real-world discussions about race and culture, see, we already talked about this, it could be easily argued that this pushes an incredibly racist and outdated viewpoint. No, it doesn't, you fucking idiots! And let me get into the meat of these role-playing games. I'm gonna take let me go off to it. Let me divert to Tangentville for a second and answer Fat Man's question. What are soy boy hobbies? Cleaning their girlfriends out after their girlfriend's boyfriend has pounded them and dumped a load in them. Consuming soy products in copious amounts. Collecting vinyl records, not for the music but for the covers. Let me see. Going to Starbucks. Eating vegan, going to the latest vegan foodie spot. And going online and raging about nonsensical bullshit. So that's pretty much my, like, top whatever that I just shot off of the hip right at the moment. Do you want to add anything to that, Wolf?
A lot of whining and crying of different varieties.
Yeah, and online LARPing, thinking they're keyboard commandos. Alright, now that we've gotten back from Tangentville, let me go into the weeds of this a little bit. In Dungeons & Dragons, what happens is you roll your character stats, right? You roll dice to see what your character stats are. Now, in the game I play, which is based on the hero role-playing system, depending on what power level you're at, or what level the game master wants to start you out on, you'll get X amount of points to spend on various attributes. So, for example, say you want to play a half-orc, right? And you want to give him a higher intelligence, you're going to have to spend more. You're going to have to spend more points in the hero system to get him up to the intelligence you want. And at a certain point, the game rules suggest that certain characters, at a certain point, they get to a certain point where they're maxed out. They could go beyond that, but they have to pay extra points. So, for example, humans in the game start out, their average base score is 10 right down the line, and their top peak, for like a fantasy genre, is 20. Now, if a human wants to go over 20, instead of spending 1 point to raise his score, he has to spend 2 points. So, say for an orc that they level out in the game at level 15 intelligence or 15 intelligence score. If they want to take that, go above that, they have to spend 2 points for every 1 point. But now at the same time, an orc starts out with a higher base strength than humans do. So they have a higher ceiling. So for example, an orc may start out at a 12 strength, and they may max out at a 22 or 23 strength. And they only have to spend 1 strength point per level up until level 23 strength. I'm just giving you an example. Whereas elves, they start with a lower strength, but they start with a higher intelligence. Or certain races like, halflings, they have a higher dexterity score because they're smaller and more agile, but they start out with a lower strength score. So it all balances out. So this whole thing about level 1 orcs will be okay, well yeah, but then depending on what class you want to play, you could raise that orc's intelligence score. It just might cost you more and actually be smarter than the humans, but it's going to take them longer. Whereas if a human wants to be stronger than an orc, it's going to take longer for them to get to that, strength level. So it all balances out. So this is not racist. This is a sack of fucking shit. This paragraph here. And you know what? The only place where this translates into real world discussions about race is in the mind of these SJW fucking cucks. That's the only goddamn place in God's green earth where this shit translates out into. It doesn't translate out into anything else. It's just in the minds of these mentally ill leftists, and they've done studies, and leftist men and women have higher cases of mental illness than your average person, or say your conservative person, or whatever. So these people are mentally ill, and they're writing this stuff, and that's the thing that doesn't bother me so much. What bothers me the most is the fucking fact that these people are actually taken seriously. So let's continue onwards. Of course, the common other side to all of this is that orcs, dwarves, and elves, and other fantasy races aren't real.
No fucking shit, Sherlock! You just realizing this?
But the very nature of Dungeons & Dragons as a game blurs the lines between reality and fiction.
No, it doesn't, moron!
While you're meant to step into a fictional character role in Dungeons & Dragons, it still gives agency by the player to assume the character is both unique and capable of making its own choices.
Well, duh!
And thus it's problematic to assume that a creature with both self-awareness and intelligence will act in a certain way simply because they come from a certain culture or look a certain way. You know what? I needed to find that meme of everybody, like, Captain Picard and other characters, that collage of people just, fucking facepalming their heads. Because I just had a facepalm moment. I just want to grab these guys by the fucking by their shirt and smack the shit out of them. I don't even want to punch them because they're not man enough to be punched. Fuck me. All right, let's get through this shit show.
Let's get this over with.
Huh?
I said, let's get this over with.
Yeah. While Dungeons & Dragons and the wider fantasy genre has often struggled with these monolithic stereotypes, it should be noted that two of Dungeons & Dragons' more recent source books have offered player alternative rules for orcs that don't require them to take the racial penalty intelligence that don't have a natural bloodlust or underlying rage. But while these options remain, this week's discussion shows there's still much more progress to need. Yeah, we need to send you motherfuckers to the goddamn salt mines. That's the progress we need to make. We need to send you fucking assholes to the goddamn salt mine. Scooch this over. And we got going here. Alright, so we're gonna... Alright, there we go. We're gonna get rid of that. Oh. Yeah, this is from old episodes. I'm not very good at housekeeping, am I?
You're working on it.
Yeah. There we go. So we're going to scroll down to the end of this article. And no, we're actually going to scroll to the top, and we're going to click on Mr. Hopper's name. So let me blow this up so the gallery can see. And for those you can't see, because I can't see on my screen because I just got the preview shit up, let's go over his bio. Christian Hopper is a comicbook.com resident Pokemon expert. He also covers wrestling, television, and comics.
What the fuck is that? He's a goddamn Pokemon expert?
Oh, man. He's got a fucking paying gig for being a fucking Pokemon expert.
Yeah, he's very clearly a gamma male.
He's a goddamn Pokemon expert. You know, when little boys are growing up, they don't sit on their dad's lap and go like, Daddy, I'm going to be a Pokemon expert when I grow up. That provides that this guy even had a dad in his life, and he did. The guy was probably a fucking noodle bag and a cuck just like he is. But who wants to grow up and they get a paying gig to be a fucking Pokemon expert? I mean, you know, kids grow up and they eventually kind of sort into what they want to do, you know, like being an electrician, plumber, a computer engineer, electronics engineer, an architect. But I don't think most male kids grow up and be like, I want to be a Pokemon expert. This guy's never grown the fuck up. He's never grown up. He's an Arrested Development shithead. He has not grown up. He's like a 13-year-old nerd. Well, not really a grown man by, because look at him, he's a fucking soy cuck. He's a pussy. But, you know, let's just say he's a teenager in an adult's body. I mean, it's like, you know, who knows what a bully could have done to change this kid's life? You know, give him that fucking atomic wedgie, or fucking stuffing his head in the toilet and giving him a swirly might have woken something in him to be like, hey, you know, it's time for me to be a fucking man. But he's probably never bullied. You know, he's probably brought up in this little snow globe bubble, you know, where nothing bad ever happens, nothing bad ever him happen. He's never had to deal with any quote unquote natural predators like the rest of us have. And this is what these people turn into when they don't have any challenges in their life, or they're raised by a single mother.